Hello.
Good evening.
How are you all? Thanks for joining us.
It's hot.
It's very hot. British summertime. It's wonderful, isn't it?
It's finally arrived.
It's good though, isn't it? And all the wonderful traditions of British summer are all in play.
Getting sunburned?
Getting sunburnt. We've had Wimbledon, so, you know, there's nothing more redolent of a British summertime than the taste of strawberries and cream at Wimbledon.
Oh,
yeah.
Do you lick the grass and the court as well?
Yes, as well.
Part
And
of it.
the sound of leather on willow at Lord's.
Ooh, crack.
Yeah, and the distant smell of burning police car up and down the country.
Just very summery.
Just some of the British traditions of summertime.
Brings back some, great summers.
Certainly does.
Well, we've got such a big show for you tonight. We've got so many things to share. First of all, interestingly, this month we've changed our camera off. The Boo official camera has been the workhorse, the Sony A6400 for a while.
So are we going to that? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But anyway, we'll get to that. Sorry, I'm jumping ahead.
We've got news. We've got AI for social media. We're going to talk about that. Actually, that's been foreshadowed in the chat a little bit. Hello, everyone, by the way. Hey, Peter. Hello. Man with Beard. Hello. AD Vision. Philip Dunbar. Dilip Funbar. Neil Wharton. Gary G. Yeah. Wagyu.
Wonderful to have you all here.
Lovely to have you all. So, yeah. AI for social media, what's that about?
Well, we'll see. The big dirty AI. None of us are really that into it, but it does have its uses.
I personally cleaned my AI before we came on. So
oh, good.
Mine's not
Glad
dirty
to hear it.
at all. And then after that, we've got a studio tour from kvfive, which just narrowly missed getting into the last show where we had some studio tours. We had to put it in because it's very interesting, especially with some things that have happened around here lately. We'll share that later.
And an introduction to studio sound. We've done some things to this studio over the years to get it to sound good enough for recording. And yeah, I thought I'd share a bit of our process and what you can do in a small space for your studio sound.
Absolutely. And it's a big one. It's a really big one. And a big one. There we go. And Synth of the Month is coming up as well. And that's, I won't say what size it is, but there we go. It's a size. And then finally, we've got a live performance from Whitstable, which we're going to talk about that as well. It was great to go to Whitstable. We'd never been to Whitstable before.
Well, we'll talk about that in a second.
And it was actually quite wonderful to meet everybody. We'll talk about it. So here we go. That's all coming up on tonight's massively, groaningly packed and quite sweaty BOOcast number 26.
Wow.
26.
Let's go!
It's almost old enough to... it should be driving by now, shouldn't it?
Yeah.
Here we go. We're BOOcast 26, which starts right now.
So,
by the way, before we begin, can I just, if you could mention in the chat, are we in sync?
Well, there's nothing we can do if we're not.
There's nothing we can do if we're not. So I forgot to do something earlier, and
it's the heat.
We may be out of sync.
But that's just going to be the way it is because we can't change it now.
Yeah, we can't change it. Anyway, there we go. So, yes, over to you.
Yeah, well, I got so excited to say, we've been evaluating our camera options. The Sony A6400 has served us quite well over the years, but it does have some awkwardness to it. So
Well, I don't understand it.
Well, it's got a terrible menu system. It's renowned for having a bad menu system.
Plus, if you remember, we broke the lens.
We did break the lens, and the replacement they sent us
doesn't work.
It's just very fuzzy around the edges.
So fuzzy around the edges. So actually, currently, we normally use that one for the live stream. This thing. So we're using a little Sony. I can't remember what it's called. A tiny little camcorder.
Yeah.
I think it looks all right.
Yeah, it's great.
Does it look all right? Looks and sounds good to you, Prometheus. Thank you very much. Think it looks good. Thank you.
So this means we needed a new camera because obviously video is a big part of what we do. We make music videos, we film stuff out and about, and we thought, well, we kind of got inspired because we got these little lav mics, didn't we, for the mobile phone, and we thought, wouldn't it be great if we had a mobile phone that had a really good camera that was good enough to work with?
We actually took them all to Whitstable. We were planning on doing some interviews with everyone there, but it was just too exciting.
We were having too much fun.
We didn't get around to it, so sorry.
Anyway, we did some research, with the help of Andy Mack from Sonic
Andy Mack,
State.
thank you very much, Andy. I don't know if you're there, but Andy Mack from Sonic State because he knows everything about cameras and audio and everything. I mean, he's our go-to guru.
Yeah.
And he recommended one of these.
It's in a little small rig frame at the moment, but it's a Sony Xperia 1V. And it's a little bit taller than most smartphones, but it's got a brilliant camera, and it sort of has some technical features that the Sony a6400 has, where you can go in and tweak things manually, but in the wonderful form of a smartphone, which is really handy, and it's kind of simpler. It's easier to use. Yeah.
However, I mean, tonight's Synth of the Month was filmed using this, and I hadn't worked it out yet, so it's a little bit wrong.
We're getting to know it.
Yeah, we are. It is taller, but it is thinner.
Yeah.
Not unlike yourself.
I quite like it because it fits in the hand. I don't fit in the hand.
That's enough of that. So that's a new camera. That's quite exciting.
Yes.
But as we said, we did a gig in Whitstable, which was lovely. And
on July 11th, part of the Coastal Electronauts SEMS.
Yes. And if you haven't checked out their YouTube channel, they've started, as far as I can see, you guys have started putting up Peter Coit. You've all started putting up more videos. So go and subscribe to the what is it? We'll find their channel. We'll show
I've just linked it in the chat there.
It's linked in the chat.
Coastal Electronauts is their YouTube channel and their Instagram.
It's a lovely, lovely thing. Brilliant vibe. Really relaxed, but very professional at the same time. All the best things about.
Shall we show a bit of the footage while we talk about it?
Stop talking. Here we go.
Yeah, because basically, what a location on the beach in Whitstable. Lovely top floor of this sort of beachfront bar. With a balcony overlooking the sea, gorgeous parking space for the bands. That's Disco, who did live visuals for everybody on the night. They live streamed everything as well. Everything, like a lot of technical stuff going on, but the team is like a well-oiled machine.
That's Clive there.
So that's Clive Walpole, Sophie Sirota, who wonderfully looked after our merch stand for us while we were on the stage. There's Peter Coit, aka Shape Navigator.
Yeah.
And I have to call out Adam, the sound guy, was brilliant as well. But there were also great sets from Ghosty Head and Field of View. And at the end, DJ Way Back in Time, Dan was spinning YMO and loads of dance classics on vinyl. It was just like, it was such a good night. We had such a good show.
It's really good. And Peter, thank you. I mean, there were some Guerrilla Records alumni there on the night. And Peter, thank you for introducing me to Super Real, and I was just kind of, in the middle of packing up. So if I'd been 20 years younger, I might have made a mess of myself. But it was really, really great to be there with you guys. A brilliant night. If you're in the area, and to be frank, it's not far from London either.
Yeah.
And it's a nice sort of evening out.
Yeah, perfect. Every summer, once a month, the summer night out. Take yourself off to Whitstable, have a night there.
And once again, Gary came to see, I think, did you come to see us? I can't remember, but I mean, we bumped into Gary.
Yeah, Gary G and Andrew John. Great to see you guys there in person.
And I'm not sure where you came from. I got the feeling you'd come on the train. You'd come from London. I might be completely wrong, but it's within reach.
It's within reach.
And it's not quite within reach for us, but it was great fun driving there and driving back through the screaming wood in Kent. We've got all the motorways seem to be
closed. They were closed for repairs.
So it was all A roads and B roads, mostly B roads actually, straight through like dark woods and eyes everywhere.
Hedgehog. We saw 2 foxes.
We had to brake for a hedgehog.
We saw a badger. Oh, it was great.
It was great. It was just, it was a wonderful night. Anyway.
Wonderful times. So we've got lots of upcoming gigs happening as well. We're going to be playing Off the Tracks Festival next, which is in Derbyshire on Saturday the 31st of August. No, that's okay. I'm just going to pop links in the chat. And then we're going to be supporting the OPD in Brighton at the Rossi Bar on Wednesday, the 4th of September.
Yes.
And tickets for that I hear they're going pretty fast. So if you want to go to that, get your tickets in. We've got people coming from all over for that. It's going to be really fun. OPD are a good time as well.
Yeah, if you haven't seen the OPD before, they are a great show. It's a sort of weird corporate sort of brainwashing cult thing happening, and it all ends up very naked and writhing on the floor screaming. You're going to love it. And it's a very small venue, so there's a very high probability of skin-on-skin contact with them yourself. So just be prepared for that.
Yeah, it's going to be good. And then coming up, we're kind of we're in the works. We may be coming to London soon, but it is not yet confirmed. We're still looking at.
Yes, we're not going to talk about that just yet.
So
we're going to have some meetings and talk about this, and
it'll be much later in the year. So yes, come to these, come see us, come have some fun.
Yeah, it's going to be. Yeah, that's going to be good.
Let's sweat together.
Yeah, marvelous. Yeah, so do you want to talk about? So we had a mention from I can't remember who it was now because I've got my brain's like a sieve. But you may have noticed we've been doing a lot of social media extra stuff.
Yes. Basically, Matt Hodson suggested this to us recently. Thank you, Matt Hodson. Maths, aka Maths.
It's Bridget's birthday a week ago.
That's not relevant.
Well, Matt came and it was really nice to see.
It was nice.
Matt and Elena. And
Anyway, there's this app he was telling us about, which is great for people who have long form content that will spit out short form shorts for you to post on social media, because we've been doing this over the months, but it's incredibly time consuming to go through an hour and a half of content and snip out the relevant bits that might be interesting to you guys to watch. And I have to say it uses the dirty AI, but it is very useful.
Should we have a look at it? What's it called?
It's called Opus Clip.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes the heavy lifting out of it for us, basically. Oh, why is my screen not showing?
Oh, have you not? Oh, that's unusual.
Oh.
Should have checked that. Oh, there it is again. No, it's showing there. Oh, I'm pressing the wrong button.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
Phew. Anyway, my computer's not dead. So basically, we will upload, an hour long. You only get a certain amount of time, as with all of these things, because it costs a lot of processing and energy to do it. But it will go through and analyze your video and clip out clips of certain lengths, create a little blurb on them. You can add, and it will automatically generate text on top.
I should say, I mean, I'm the one that kind of got my fingers dirty on this thing. And if you look at the top there, it gives you a sort of virality score and flow and how engaging it is and all that. And it tells you. And it does produce titles and it does produce text, but you do have to go in and fix it because it's just like all AI. It's stupid. The I in AI isn't.
No.
But it's really useful just for it seems to manage to chop bits out.
It definitely, I mean, it removes hours of work, although it still needs our human judgment and eyes over it. It takes out the hard part. Kind of. And
because that kind of, TikToks and shorts and whatever is so ephemeral, it's just kind of, it's there and it's gone and it's kind of, very disposable. There's no sense in
labouring hours and hours over these little posts,
breaking your mind over doing it properly. I mean, although a real human being, we would do it better, but we just don't have the time to do it. So if you are in the business of doing that kind of thing, then it's worth doing. And the other thing it does is it schedules them all for you. I'll cut back to your screen.
So you can connect to all your social media accounts and it will post to all of them, and you can customize each one depending on, that platform. So we've scheduled quite a few there, but then it runs out. So we'll keep adding to that. But I find it a bit strange that we're using AI to serve another machine, which is the algorithm kind of. I mean, we're using machines to talk to other machines, but the end goal is, of course, to get more people to see our stuff. Because, we've got a marketing friend who pointed out to us that, every time we post something, only like 10% of people see it anyway because of the algorithm, because we're not paying to push our content out there. So, because I was like, people are going to get annoyed, aren't they, seeing this stuff every single day? But no, it's great. So, yeah.
Unless you are annoyed, and do let us know if you are, so we'll stop.
Yeah.
But there's lots of birthday messages for you here.
Oh, thanks, guys. It was an incredible birthday. My sister surprised me out of the blue. I had no idea she was coming all the way from Scotland. And Chris helped as well with the
mission
surprise.
Accomplished.
And then
total
she made
surprise.
me a cake on the day during the party. Thank you, Benita. It made my birthday.
Yeah, it was great. It was a great day.
So speaking of TikTok, so we've been doing all this posting, and it is sort of steadily building the amount of people that are seeing our stuff, and I'm just reporting on this so that you guys know. Like, it's nobody cares about how many people we're getting viewing our stuff, but it's kind of a report to show what you can do for your stuff as well, if it's worth doing. We don't have time for TikTok and stuff, so it's nice to automate this because we don't want to spend our lives on these platforms. Anyway, one of the posts kind of took off last Monday, and first it had like 9,000 views, then 15,000, and it's topped out at about 30,000 views, which is incredible for us.
Is that viral?
Well, I was Googling it. I was like, oh my God, are we viral? And no, you're viral if you get like 500 million. That's viral. So,
yes.
But everybody's got different levels. They're like, oh, well, it's only viral if you have this many views. And others are like, well, you're only viral if you've hit the mainstream culture and everybody knows what it is. Anyway, it's a lot for us. And it was basically a clip of us playing Service Economy at the Whitstable gig with the intro you designed.
Yeah, well, it just occurred to me that, you probably all know by now, but the Are You Being Served kind of fits. It's not the same bass line exactly, but I figured it does sort of work with the bass line from Service Economy. So we just started doing it as a bit of fun for live. And, there we go. And do you want audio? No.
No,
okay.
so that's all the clip
so
is.
that's the little clip that, yeah.
But yeah, people just loved it. So, and they were like, where can we listen to it? We want to hear this song. So we have uploaded it to Bandcamp and you can get it.
Yeah.
If you want it, the Mr. Humphries mix.
That's Molly Sugden's actual hair there, by the way. It took ages grafting it on, didn't it?
Yes.
Really, really difficult.
Laborious.
Are we done there?
Yes.
Okay, so that's what's been happening. It's just been a kind of social media thing. Speaking as people that generally we
try and keep a healthy distance from these platforms.
I certainly can't take it, but this is sort of entertaining, watching what the AI algorithm is doing to. You put in long clips and it sort of chops out what it thinks are interesting bits, and
Well, and what was the actual value of 30,000 views? We sold an album, which was great, and we sold.
Did we?
Yeah, we sold a digital album and we sold a T-shirt. So,
I think
it was worth it.
I think champagne is in order.
But that kind of brings me to a good question from AD Vision at the top of the show.
Yeah.
Said, how do you get past the disillusionment of hardly anyone listening to your music? Really good question. Obviously, we've been doing this for more than 10 years now, and
I say ignore them.
Yeah, ignore them. And
it's what you're always telling me, ignore everyone.
Yeah, I think it is dispiriting though, because you're putting so much into this, your art, this thing that matters more than anything to you, the thing that you think is so important and is important and should be shared. But I think more than ever, we've moved into an age where content is a word and everybody's just flooding out content, and music doesn't occupy the same central space in people's lives as it used to, although it does for a lot still. But young people now, they're mostly consuming video rather than music. And in fact, there was a recent survey on from YouTube, and traditionally they thought that maybe 1 in 10 people are creating video content and the rest are sort of lurking and watching it. But actually 65% of Gen Z describe themselves as video content creators. That's aged 18 to 24. The survey was quite small. It was only a few thousand people in America surveyed via email, but wow. It kind of makes sense. But now you have companies also flooding the market with AI generated media. And there's just more stuff out there than people can reasonably access or look at.
Well, this
or
is
listen
interesting,
to.
isn't it? Well, not only that, it's the same for like synth tube type behaviour. So we always used to put music videos up, and we'd get hardly any views, and it would gradually build up over maybe 5 years. You might get up to like 800, 1,000 or something, and you put up synth tube sort of synth demos and whatever. People aren't really interested in seeing music. They want to see stuff about synthesizers to talk about, to think about what they're making. Because I guess more people are making music than are listening to it.
Yeah.
Is that possible? The same with the video.
Could be. I mean, there was, off the back of that article, they did also talk about, I don't have it there now, but how the whole reaction culture and the way fan communities get involved with things now, the reaction videos garner more views than the original videos. It's all about the community of people who are absorbing the stuff. I don't know. A Division, it's a weird, weird world. And I think the best we can do is find our tribe, find people who support you and respect what you do.
That's
and
you.
tell you to keep going.
I can feel it. Are you segueing?
Tell me if I am.
I'm looking at the call sheet, and it looks like you are.
We're very lucky we have each other, because we both at different times have these down moments where we're like, oh, what is...
Totally.
Nobody's listening.
I mean, as I said, we may have said this before, but the only reason we keep going is because when we stop, we don't feel like human beings anymore.
Yeah,
and that's
meaningful for us.
I mean, even if no one was listening, we'd have to keep doing it because it's just what life's about, isn't it?
And it is hard. So find your people, get out there in the real world and do it as well. I mean, the internet's great for kind of connecting with those initial groups, but then meeting them in real life, you just can't beat it. Like that Whitstable gig, amazing. We met so many wonderful people there.
That's great.
Just constant stream of joyousness.
Yeah.
So get out, get amongst it, and you're not alone. It's hard, it's depressing sometimes, but it is worth it. I feel it's worth it, because otherwise our lives would be lived without meaning.
Where are we going?
Well, we're going to KV5 studio next.
I've got a question for you now.
Okay.
Look up there. There's something else.
Oh, yeah, no, you're right. Before we go to KV5 studio, yes. Thank you.
I was just going to, before you go into that, I want to ask you, are we doomed? Is that it?
No, I don't think we're doomed.
Okay.
I really don't.
That's fine. We're not doomed.
We're not doomed.
So we like to leave you with a positive message, and the message for today is we're not doomed.
We're not doomed.
We really aren't.
I genuinely think that this kind of technocratic nightmare, it feels like, we're all being absorbed by, is going to result in a real backlash of people needing to connect with each other on a human, interpersonal level,
absolutely.
Create meaningful art that isn't made by machines. And, the pendulum swings, and we're about to swing the other way. And it might get worse before it gets better, but
crikey.
It will get better.
Yeah.
We're not doomed.
Anyway, no, we're not doomed. Make friends with your neighbours.
And
get to know people.
We're friends with you guys, so thank you for being here.
And we will see you eventually. It might take a while, but we will eventually see all of you in the flesh.
Yes.
It will happen.
Yeah, we'll try and... We've been working on playing in more places, and you guys have been wonderful. I mean, most of the gigs we've got have been through people on the BOOcast going, play here. We can do that with you, and so, yeah.
When I said that, by the way, it wasn't meant to sound like a threat. It will happen. We will meet you. I wasn't being threatening. trying to be positive. So what are you talking about here?
Well, I'm
subscribers. So let me just say. So we've got another EP. This is EP 12.
Ooh.
Free. There's 12 free EPs, one free album, and everything else. Can't just cut to that.
I probably need to refresh this to get the new EP.
Is it not there yet? EP 11. Oh, it's 11. Sorry, my mistake. So there's 11 EPs. You get everything for free.
Look at all those tracks. 6 tracks.
We've got
EP.
stems. I'm going to start putting more stems up as well if you want to do them. We've got the service economy stems if you want to try your hand at remixing that as well. So there's loads of stuff for our boosters, and if you want to subscribe, please do. It's like as little as £3 a month. Is it $3? I can't remember.
I think it's $3, yeah.
And
it means the world to us, and it helps us carry on and do this stuff.
It really does help keep the lights on and keep us going. Thank you so much for being subscribers. If you are boosters, and if you haven't, think about it. Go and have a look, because you get
quite a lot out of it.
You get everything,
and you get 10% off merch. Everything we release for free download.
Yeah,
it's good, and you get to be a booster. And after 6 months, you get a Boo Peter badge.
Yes, so very, very coveted. Not for sale anywhere.
Not for sale. They can only be earned.
Yes. So are we? What are we doing
now we're going to share KV5 studio tour. The last month we shared a few boosters studio tours just to see what their studios are like. I find it really interesting, and this is a great one from KV5 because he's got a compact space and he's kind of talking about how it works.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Here we go. So over to KV5.
So this is my rather compact little setup studio, if you like. So from left to right, that's a Windows PC with a i7 13th gen Intel CPU, which I use to run Renoise with lots of VSTs. That's the monitors, and that's my audio interface. I use a Roland TriCapture to bring everything in from all the mixers. That's the Volca mix, which is a sub mixer. I use that just for anything that makes a drum sound that comes into there and then goes into one of the stereos on the Tascam Model 12. I use the graphic equalizer. It doesn't affect the recording signal path. It's just purely on the output. So, and the bass is always set a little higher than it should, and treble, or the high frequencies are set to max. It stops me overcompensating the signals for mixing, and it's worked well for me for many years. So over here, there's a few boutiques, Keystep Pro, one of the Volcas, Roland MC101, Volca Sample 2, obviously I've already mentioned the Tascam Model 12, a Behringer Selena, a Roland JDXI, another boutique TR08 there, a JU6 there, there's a Roland T8 there. The Behringer Selena goes through a Boss phaser pedal, PH3, which then passes into this dual phase, which is a modern copy of a biphase or something like that, I believe, which then gives me the stereo signal. And that's that lot. There's an Akai MPX8. I use that for just vocal or spoken samples. But that's that part of the setup. So this is the boxed equipment, which I use to swap out with the sort of compact space that I have, which is over the other side of the room. It doesn't normally live out like this. It's normally in that cupboard. I've just had a sort out and a tidy to see what's what. But there's a few more Roland boutiques there. The Behringer Edge, which is great. A couple of Roland compacts, the S1 and the J6. The Pro VS Mini, which I'm not a great fan of. It's okay, but the Newtek NTS, that's the Korg, isn't it? NTS1, that's great for the effects. There's some more Volcas I use, again, just swapping out with what's over the other side. A Volca Sample 1, and over there is the Volca Sample 2. I keep and use the Sample 1 because it really does sound different than the 2 that's over there, so it's handy to have the different in sound. There's a couple of K25M add-on keyboards which I use for these 2 boutiques here. I've got a couple of these. Just I use them as sub mixers, but they've not seen the light of day for a long time. That's a MAM MB33 Retro, a couple of phaser pedals, Roland TB3 with the touch screeny thing. Another an Arteria Beat Step Pro and a Keystep Pro, it's not the Keystep Pro, it's the Keystep, as opposed to the Keystep Pro over there. A couple of more Zoom effects pedals, RD6 drum machine, TD3, great value for money, sound really good, both of those. And then a Cat synth, again, Behringer, and a Pro 1. So basically, that is my world, my little studio. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, KV5. That was really interesting. Particularly interested in your way you're EQing your monitoring. It must have taken you a while to get that right. We're going to be talking about the monitoring business in a second as well, because that sort of ties in really nicely. And also quite a lot of little synths there. Beautiful to see, all those lovely stuff. And some Behringer stuff there. Now, we've just been lent. Long-term lent?
We've got on loan.
The Cobol by Behringer, and I don't know if the focus is going to work. There you go. And it's the first time I've ever. Actually, it's not the first time. I did play the the Poly synth they first came out with.
But it's the first Behringer product to enter the studio for a long time.
The DeepMind.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. I mean, we've got a Behringer mixer monitor thing there, which was also gifted to us, which was very kind. So no money has changed hands yet, but I have to say the Cobol on first inspection is extremely good. I mean, it's really, really good.
Sounds lovely.
I'm very impressed with it. And the other thing was what I really liked is the Tascam 12 thing. Really loved the look of those as well, because it really harks back to the old days of Port Studios and stuff. And I just wondered, I mean, I should look into it more. I really like the idea of something that sits there and records for you. And the other thing I wanted to ask was, I had no idea there was a difference sonically between the Volca Sample 1 and the Volca Sample 2. I mean, that's really interesting to me.
Yeah.
What's the difference? Anyway, so I should go and check that out. I'll go and do my own research. So, but thank you ever so much, KV5. That was really interesting and lovely and very tidy.
Yes.
Very tidy.
Now, there's so much to putting together a studio for recording. And so my sister's about to self-produce her debut album, in fact, and she's been asking me lots of questions about soundproofing and sound treatment, because for most of us, music is, around our lives, and we have to do it in the space we've got, and we don't have access to fancy studios all the time. Are you going to show this now or later? No. Okay, later. Anyway, she's been asking me about soundproofing and sound treatment on a budget. So because this topic's so huge, I decided to make a short guide to kind of just give an intro to everything. So it talks about, what we've done, what has worked for us, but also provides a range of solutions for hopefully any budget, from no dollars to medium dollars.
Yeah. And shall we go?
Yeah, let's dive into it.
Okay, hold on to your hats. This is a big one. That's about the 5th time I've said big one.
Stop saying big one.
Sorry.
We've spent most of our lives making music in bedsits. We'd get all that gear out to play or record something, then have to put it all away again when we wanted the living space back. When we finally moved out of the city and got a bit more space and a whole room we could dedicate to our music, we decided to soundproof it, both for our benefit and for our immediate neighbours. Before we go any further, I'd better clarify the difference between soundproofing and sound treatment. Soundproofing aims to block any sound coming into or out of a room. Sound treatment is about eliminating extraneous frequencies from your room to give you a cleaner, more dead sound when recording, and prevent those sound reflections from playing tricks on your ears when mixing. They are two completely different sciences, and yes, they go deep enough to be called sciences. Now, when I say soundproof, there is only so much one can do to block noise coming in or out of a terraced house, or any property connected to others. Sound doesn't just travel through the air, but through every solid object connecting the properties. Walls, joists, floors. The only way to have a truly soundproof room is to have a disconnected floating room inside a bigger room, and the deeper the gap between the two, the better. This just isn't realistic for most people. Neither are the prices of professional soundproofing. We were looking at over £10,000, and this was back in 2016. So we did some research, and after watching 2 short videos from British Gypsum, we realised we could do it ourselves. Our studio has double thickness brick wall on one side through which we hear nothing, but the other wall is paper thin, as our house was once part of the house on that side. There was also a lot of bass leakage through the joists in the floor, so we decided to soundproof the problem wall and install a floating floor. We worked out what we need in what quantities based on those 2 videos from British Gypsum and ordered our supplies in. First, we needed to get the floorboards up and fill between the joists with rock wool. It's important to use PPE when handling rock wool, as the fibres that come off of it are very fine and bad for your skin and lungs. Our house is very old, and we discovered years of ad hoc plumbing below the floor, a snaking system of brown plastic tubes threaded all around the room. We had an incident with these pipes, which we didn't capture on film. Suffice to say, Be very, very careful when screwing into a floor with a lot of pipes or cabling below the surface. The next stage was to place the gyp frame SI floor channel gently on each joist, with gyprock planks sitting on each lip between each joist. We then laid the floorboards on top of this structure and screwed them into the gyp frame floor channel edges below. There are no screws connecting this floor to the joists. It just floats on top of them. We had to upgrade our N91 masks to proper 3M half-mask respirators to protect us from the ultra-fine plaster dust which billowed into the room every time we cut a board to size. Working on the floor meant we were always on our knees, so knee pads were indispensable. The work was hard and sweaty, and we finished each day very sore. With the floor completed, we were ready for stage 2, the wall. The electricians installed the sockets for this room in the floor, which made our job slightly easier. We didn't have to cut and measure special keyholes for the sockets in the new wall. First, we put the gyp frame standard channel 50 FEC 50 around the edge of the wall and sealed the gaps with silicone. The more depth you can add between the original wall and the new one, the better for soundproofing. But we didn't want to sacrifice any more space than we had to in this room, so we kept it fairly shallow. The next part was so labour intensive, I have no footage of us doing it. So here's the British gypsum man. First, putting the 48i50 studs along the frame at 600mm intervals. Then, placing rock wool between them. And lastly, fixing the incredibly heavy gyprock sound block plasterboard to the frame. Each sheet of this stuff weighed nearly 50 kilos and needed to be cut to size. It's definitely a 2-person job. When the wall was complete, we skimmed over the screws and the dipped edge with some two-pray, and voila! The whole job took a matter of weeks and cost only about £1,300 in materials. It was a very tough job though, made more difficult by our old house with its mad plumbing and jigsaw of oddly shaped floorboards, so if you can afford professionals, go for it. However, if you're on a budget, it can be done between you and a friend. The improvement was drastic. We hear no sound at all from next door through this room, and have never had a complaint about our own noise, and it can get loud in there. Though we can still hear bass coming through to the room below, it has improved massively and no longer sounds like the ceiling is going to fall in on your head. Now that's all well and good if you have the time and money to spare, but what if you don't have upwards of £1,300 for soundproofing? What can you do? Well, in terms of soundproofing, not a lot. However, there is plenty you can do to treat a room to sound better with absorption, diffusion, bass traps, and resonators. Untreated rooms give an uneven frequency response. This basically means you can't hear your mix accurately because the room shape might be exaggerating certain frequencies. This can give you a poor mix that will sound wildly different in different spaces. Also, any acoustic recordings you make in an untreated space will record the audio thumbprint of the unique resonant frequencies in that room. This also works the other way around. If you have a neutral recording, you can apply reverb effects from specific places like halls, churches, or bathrooms. We generally want a dead sound to anything we record so that we can add effects during production. But there's plenty to be said for recording a live-feeling room to capture a lo-fi or acoustic vibe. Now, you don't need to turn your room into a padded cell or egg carton nightmare to treat it. Absorption is the most popular way to reduce reflective sound in a room, and it will take care of most of the high frequencies. Fabrics and furniture are your friends. Fill the room with dense objects like full bookshelves or a clothes rail along the wall. Lay some cheap rugs on the floor. When recording, draw the curtains and hang a duvet over them to absorb outside noise and deaden the room. You could even go as far as propping a mattress against a wall. If you have a little budget, you could try some strategically placed acoustic foam, but you'll get far better results with acoustic panels, which absorb more frequencies. Acoustic panels are essentially a light wooden frame filled with dense rock wool and covered in fabric, designed to look unobtrusive and absorb as much sound in as little space as possible. If you can't afford to buy acoustic panels new, and you're a bit handy, you could make your own for much less. If you're not that handy, you could try stuffing the back of a large, cheap art canvas with rock wool and stretch an old sheet taut over the whole thing with a staple gun. Seal that sheet tight though, because you don't want those rock wool fibres loose in your room. Acoustic panels should be placed at key points of reflection based on your speaker position. Speaker position is another topic, but generally speaking, you want them to be set at ear level, on stands, not on a desk, which causes more reflections, away from the back wall, in an equilateral triangle with your head in the middle. Diffusers are designed to scatter sound waves so that they don't bounce back uniformly, causing disorienting echoes. Different designs can reduce different frequencies. Do not use egg cartons or bubble wrap or any other thin, bumpy, flammable materials. Any sound improvement will be minimal, and more importantly, they're a huge fire hazard. These materials tend to have a far too regular pattern to produce any form of useful diffusion. The most common DIY design is the skyline diffuser, made of varying heights of blocks of wood, though these can be very heavy. Alternatively, you could try the lighter, broad frequency reflecting arc and lean fuser design. Next, we need to trap the bass. Why? The bass coming out of our speakers typically has a wavelength that's longer than most rooms. This creates a build-up of low-frequency energy at the corners and walls of the rooms called standing waves. Standing waves make it very hard to mix audio. The conventional way to deal with this is to install bass traps in each corner of the room. But if you can't afford these, try putting an armchair in the corner of the room, or bring in a sofa. Lastly, if you want to get really technical, you can eliminate specific frequencies, usually bass, with Helmholtz resonators. One of the most common uses for Helmholtz resonators is as mufflers for internal combustion engines. The fundamental design is an enclosure or cavity in which there is a vent or a port. The dimensions of the cavity and the port determine the resonant frequency of the resonator. Things get quite technical here, but they are a lightweight and compact way of dealing with bass frequency issues in a small space. Absorption, diffusion, traps and resonators. Just one of these things might not change the sound of your room very much, but in combination, you should start to get a better, deader sound for recording and mixing. If all of this sounds like too much just to be able to record and mix your music, there are alternatives. For recording, take the money you would have spent on treatment and buy a decent portable vocal booth. Make a duvet tent over it if you're still catching any resonance in your recording. We use this one from GIK Acoustics. For mixing, spend as much as you can afford on a decent, flat set of mixing headphones, like the Sennheiser HD600s or HD650s. Or just pay someone else to mix your audio. If you do decide to mix on headphones only, make sure to listen to your mix in as many different situations as possible. Different speakers, different headphones, different sources, even in cars. Don't make changes to your mix depending on just one listening environment, but on all of them. You want it to sound as consistent as possible for all listeners. Soundproofing and treatment are incredibly complex, but these techniques combined should help you get a better sound for your music at a budget you can afford. So I hope that helps.
Thank you.
For people who are totally new to sound treatment and soundproofing. It is a huge area. It's quite hard to cover off the basics in one video. But those are the basics. Jim Glue made a really good point actually about speaker placement. They don't have to be away from the wall. Ideally, if you can have them away from the wall, that's great. But ours are right against the wall. Because of SBIR.
Speaker boundary interference response. And we do have them against the wall as well. We talked about this with Andy Mack with his Graham audio speakers, so that there's an option to, if you have them against the wall, it can mitigate the interference from the low frequencies going on. But like James said, absolutely you need to
Measure.
Yeah. Yeah. Difference between velocity and pressure-based absorbers too. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, it's a massively complex thing, and I think you did an amazing job getting so much information into, what was that, 10 minutes?
Yeah, about 10 minutes.
That's kind of amazing. So, I mean, it's really intended as an introduction, and
yeah,
that's
from
it.
there, go do your research, go as deep as you want to.
There
And
are
you can go
so-
very deep.
There are so many great channels. There's who's that German guy?
Oh, the Acoustics guy, Acoustics Insider.
Acoustics Insider.
Amazing YouTube channel. He's fantastic.
So go check that out. We'll probably find when we're doing the next video, we'll check out the link and what have you for that. But yeah, so but good luck, Bonnie. Hope that was useful. That's kind of an amazing whistle-stop tour of the whole, quagmire of sound treatment stuff. But yeah, soundproofing is a real tricky one. Yeah, I don't know how you're going to stop the sound of your neighbours listening to Elvis coming through.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
every day.
Every day. Yeah, that's hard, man.
Yeah, I think the architects nowadays, they are supposed to build in a certain amount of soundproofing into things. There was a period where things were produced so cheaply that everything was paper thin, but you'd have to be quite lucky to be living in a house in an urban environment where you don't hear anything from your neighbours. We're all living cheek to jowl. So yeah, it's difficult. But I hope that helps.
But I think it was incredible. And by the way, kudos on the clips. You managed to get Brian and what's his name from the Mighty Boosh?
Howard Moon
and Brian from Spaced in one video.
Yeah, it dates me. You can tell how old I am from those clips.
Yeah, and Rodney Dangerfield. I mean, come on, it was packed.
Yeah, it was packed.
Good work.
Thank you, guys. Yeah.
I was just going to say, we got the Behringer Cobol as well, just before we move on. And we also got this.
Hello.
And so you can see our collection of Casios behind us. That's not the full collection, by the way, but there are more. But
I feel sorry. Who didn't get to join the family on the sofa?
Oh, several of them. Well, the CZ101 isn't there, and the MT70 isn't there, and the MT68 isn't there.
So many.
And I think that's it. But no, the PT30. And
can we have it?
If only just for this. Let's turn it up as loud as it'll go.
You'll recognise this from more than one place. Cardboard.
Lamb.
And of course, I'm losing my edge.
Yeah. So we're very overjoyed. Found it so cheap. These things are normally rather expensive, and we got a very
beat up, wasn't it?
Got a very dirty one, but it's cleaned up nicely.
Shiny. So charming. We got them all out the other night and had a bit of fun.
What is it about it? It's so pretty.
It is very pretty.
So pretty. And I'll put that down.
But it was nice to have a bit. It's the first time we've had a bit of a muck around with some synthesizers
just plug in the Casios. Yeah.
We're starting to get a bit itchy about making new stuff.
We did actually do it on your birthday. We got all the Casios out and put them in the garden, and I have recorded it.
We were all a few margaritas down by that point.
Not entirely safe for work, but it's got some lovely bleepy noises.
It was great fun.
Very nice. Are we going straight to thingy now?
I think we should, because there's...
Oh no, play phrase me.
Oh yeah, So yeah, talking about finding clips, I didn't actually end up using this because it's so literal. But there is this great website called playphrase.me, and you can put in any phrase and it will spit out videos like from film and television. I don't know what the pool is, but it's quite a large pool. And you can see there's 70 clips where people are saying, I got to get back to work. It's more useful for stuff where you're editing together audio clips. I just needed imagery rather than this stuff. And sometimes, the image doesn't match. But you get 5 for free, and then you basically just subscribe to the Patreon, and you can type in anything you like. What should I type in?
Go on, go for
Listen to the music.
Listen to the music. Go for it.
Okay, just listen to the music, and then you play, and then you just hit in the bottom left, download video. My mouse has disappeared, but in the bottom left, very, very small, you can download these clips and use them if you ever need to edit together a bunch of stuff. Playphrase.me.
It's incredible, but I was wondering how copyright works on this.
Well,
that's quite odd, isn't it?
I used some clips in there from other YouTube channels, GOK Acoustics, British Gypsum.
You just mentioned them, though, in the...
I do mention them, and there is kind of an argument to be made for fair use. If you're doing educational content, then it is kind of arguable that you can use it under fair use law. Yeah,
okay.
So
that's interesting.
That's my
I just wondered how the website works, because
It's crazy, isn't
yeah,
it?
it's crazy.
It's amazing. And I think it's just one guy. But yeah, I'll put the link in the chat if you ever need some clips.
One guy who's soon going to prison.
I hope not.
Anyway, so Synth of the Month. This is the first one we did with the new camera, and I messed it up. It's a little bit soft. I mean, when I say a little bit soft, it's really very soft. But here it is. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, let's go. The BOOcast Synth of the Month is... this is the Volca keys. The Korg Volca keys was introduced back in 2013 as part of Korg's Volca series, which was aimed at providing affordable yet versatile synthesizers. At the time, synth heads on a budget had few other options, but the Volca keys offered something distinct with its combination of simplicity, tiny size, and relative depth. The Volca keys is an analog synth with a 3-voice polyphony, giving it the capability to play chords, which was quite rare at the time for synths in its price range, and its built-in sequencer and delay effects, along with a very hands-on interface, made it an appealing prospect for live performance. We bought 2. Before the world was flooded with tiny clones and pocket-sized digital emulations of old classics, the impact of the Volcas on electronic music has been significant. It brought analog synthesis to a wider audience, inspiring a new wave of producers and hobbyists to explore sound design without breaking the bank. Small, cheap, and perhaps a little limited, you see Volcas everywhere. But some say limitations are a blessing. Are they? Hey, the Volca keys. So we bought 2 of these when they came out because we were so excited. And it was pretty exciting at the time. Now they're just the subject of many body orifice derision moments. But here it is, the Volca keys. What is it? It's basically, I think it looks a bit like it might be a Betamax cassette-sized little synthesizer. It was one of the first of the Volca keys range. The other ones were the Volca Beats and the Volca Bass. Now, since then, the Volca range has increased, and there are loads of them, and they're all fairly inexpensive. So what is this thing? So it's a 3-oscillator synthesizer, very stripped down, very cut back, and very simple. So let's have a look. The first thing we see here is this knob here, which is the voice knob. We get a choice of voicings, so I'll just bring this up and that down, and the first thing we can do is it's polyphonic. Let's make that a bit more in tune. So it's, paraphonic, I guess, because it's sharing the same filter and envelope for all of the voices. But it does, well, if you get it right, it will ring out. And if we go to this detune knob, it basically pushes the 3 oscillators away from each other. And you get like broken synth noises. Right, so if I just play a 5th, it gradually goes into broken land. There it is, broken. We've got a range knob here. Let's go to that first. So it goes quite low, pretty high. Obviously, you can plug an external MIDI keyboard in. I'm not going to do that today because I'm going to focus on what it's like just having this thing in your back pocket. No sniggering at the back. And there we go. So that's poly mode. Next we have unison, which brings all 3 of these sawtooth oscillators in this case. So we have, these are all sawtooths we've got here. So we've got the unison mode. So we don't have pulse width modulation on here, but we can do some detuning with the 3 oscillators in unison, which gives you this effect. Turn off the delay. Which is, it's a fairly acceptable approximation of quite a thick sound. You can go obviously all the way into massively detuned, but just a little bit there is quite nice. Get some slow attack. Sort of string noises there. So we got some bass, we got some stringy leads. The next one along we get is octave, so this gives us two of the voices in unison and one of them an octave higher, which you can just hear. In fact, it may even spread them across all three octaves. And that's an acceptably fat, sort of beefy sound, isn't it? The next one along we get fifths, so one of them gets tuned to a fifth. Name that tune. So yeah, I mean, I'm getting real early, broken, cheap synth vibes from it, and that's a good thing. Yes, it is. The final two settings utilize square waves, and we have first a unison ring mode, which gives you these types of sounds. And if you detune it, you get those ringing bell-like hollow. Now spell colour. That's quite a satisfying sound there. And then the final mode in the voice knob is polyring. Now this is the one that made me very excited because you can do this. So that's really nice and clangorous, and yeah, all the Kraftwerk joys are in there. And we've already been through the pitch knob, so it goes nice and low to nice and high, even though this sort of, what is it, 2 octaves and 2 notes keyboard. So there's the sort of basic flavours. We can get bass sounds out of it, we can get some lead sounds out of it, and we get some sort of effecty sounds out of it. And we haven't really looked at the controls here. There are quite a few controls on. So the first thing we've already seen is the detune knob, which we get that from. Then we've got portamento. On the touch keyboard, as you can see with portamento, you can sort of do some... I mean, it's not quite Osmos levels of expressivity, but if you wanted to do that kind of finger bendy thing, you can. And finally, there's EG intensity, which brings you to the envelope, and we can adjust the pitch via the EG, so we can even get some syndrome type sounds out of it. Next line is the filter. Now, if I remember rightly, this filter was touted as being modelled on the Korg 700S original filter, and let's give us back some sawtooths. Let's open it right up. Turn that off. And the filter's pretty nice, so just bringing this down. Unfortunately, it's so small, my hands are getting in the way, but go nice and low. As you can hear, it's quite noisy. Let's not complain too much. So that's fairly good. Let's bring the cutoff up a little bit. Bring it to sort of 11 o'clock. It's not bad. And then let's bring up a bit more. So it does sing a little bit, but there's stepping in there. And the reason behind that is that a lot of these parameters are actually motion sequenceable. So there's some computation going on about where the filter actually is. Makes me think that maybe there's a way of giving this thing presets. Has anyone done that? Quite nice. And then we've got envelope generator intensity, so we can bring that up. By the way, if it sounds a little out of tune, the manual tells you that if it sounds out of tune, you just leave it for 30 seconds or so and it retunes itself automatically. It's almost got some overdrive going on. And that is quite a bitey filter. Next we've got one LFO with a rate knob, so let's just attach it to pitch for the moment so we can hear. That's as high as the intensity goes. Rate goes pretty fast. There's quite a massive load of jump off moving. It suddenly gets between there and there. It really jumps in speed. So we can control the pitch. We can also control the cutoff. With the LFO, we've also got some more controls down here in the bottom. So we hit function, we can change the waveform of the LFO from triangle, which is its starting position, to saw, which has put it back into unison. Speed it up a bit. We can also give it a square waveform. And finally, we can have trigger sync, so this makes the LFO's duty cycle restart each time you hit a key. We turn it off and it should stay. I mean, it's dirty and it's gritty, but it's a hell of a lot of synth to have in your back pocket. And I personally love these dirty, gross, gritty, noisy sounds. They remind me of all kinds of brilliant records that I love greatly. There's a rate knob. We've got 3 waveforms. We can get it to re-trigger with each key press or not. We can attach it to cutoff or pitch. And finally, we've got the envelope generator, which is hardwired to the amp. So we've got an attack time. And we've got release time, which is also decay. And we've got sustain level. As you can hear, with each new key press in poly mode, it re-triggers the whole envelope and filter. It's not polyphonic, but it does afford itself some interesting ways of playing. If I bring the attack time down, it's less noticeable. those are the main controls. The Korg Volca keys also gives you this extremely noisy delay. So let's just bring up the... check that out. Aficionados of extremely noisy delays will probably mention in the comments what chip that is, but it's a mess, isn't it? And that's its fastest speed at the moment. But it's got real... it's lovely in its own way. It's messed up, but... can't really even pick up those higher frequencies. Let's go for lower ones. That's, hauntology, TV programs from the 70s. This kind of sound has a real place in lots of people's music. I really love it. The delay can also be synced to tempo by pressing function and hitting tempo delay. All of these controls, as well as being a keyboard, there's some controls on here. So let's just clear all on that and clear all of that as well. We've even got a metronome, so let's just give ourselves a little metronome. Here we go. Wow, that's loud, isn't it? So, and in poly mode, you can continually add notes as you go along. So. Let's turn off that metronome, it hurts. So the tempo delay is engaged, so the delay is completely in sync. So there's an interesting thing here as well with the sequencer. Just stop it for a second. So we've got that little bit recorded. Down here we've got a tempo selection of buttons here. This was 1 to 1, 1 to 2 and 1 to 4. So we can go normal speed, gives you 16 steps. But if we go into tempo mode, we can go half speed. And then if we go into 1/4, it slows it down to half the speed. Now what's the point of that, you ask? So also the tempo, in certain modes you can get it down to 10 BPM up to 600, so it's got a very wide range. This is why we used to use this on stage for basically some random sound effects, because it's quite good at that sort of thing. I'll do that in a minute. So there you go, that's really slow. But there's another function here called flux. Now what flux does is it claims to disconnect your key inputs from the 16 steps that we've got here. So we can, if I just go up here, make it higher. So you can hear there's what it's done, the flux mode, I believe it doesn't actually disconnect it from the signal. So what it does is it breaks each of these individual steps into 8 steps of their own. We've got a little bit more complexity there. That's the sequencing. We can also, in playback mode, we can activate active step, can chop bits out, and it will only play the bits that are lit. And if you run your finger along, it inverts them all, which is the nice thing about the touch keyboard. It just kind of so turned it off again. And while it's playing, we've got access to all these controls. So we can control all of those while it's playing. But, better still, we can also hit record, activate motion sequence, put it into smooth mode for the moment, and the Volca keys will record your movements. Speed up a little bit. So we can, I mean, the manual doesn't actually say how many lanes of motion sequencing there are. And you can basically keep going. So let's just do something here. Most of this is motion sequenceable. The peak or resonance is not, sadly. We can change the envelope, so... And when it's been motion sequenced, it lights up, tells you when it's changing. So that's some. As soon as it goes around one cycle, it stops recording again. Let's do a little bit more. There we go. Now we've got the LFO adjusting the cutoff. You can also adjust motion sequence to be not smooth, so it kind of jumps per step to where it wants to be. Let's adjust the attack time. Maybe went too far there. We can also adjust the delay time. There it goes, and even the feedback. The feedback knob is also the delay level knob. A bit of a mess, but there it all is. What's that? That's that. that was the delay. How noisy is that? I mean, it's almost brilliant. It's so bad. So, we got lots of lovely stuff here. And you've got, okay, only 8 memory slots. So let's listen to this one. So this is the kind of thing I used to really love doing with it. It was just setting it off to do this mangled. Really lo-fi, early electronic music type vibe. Let's try another one. Sort of little rhythm pattern here. I might even add some. So you can add more stuff to it. Turn up the portamento. There's the portamento in. You can overwrite these things. Let's do it again. It's pretty cool. Stick a beat under that. Yeah, it's definitely lo-fi, it's definitely gnarly, it's definitely crunchy, and it's definitely the size of a Betamax cassette, and it's definitely wonderful. I think the Volca keys is my favourite of the Volca range. We do have the Volca sample now, which we use all the time. I don't know if you can see that. It's got little lights inside. You probably can't. Who knows what they're doing? They're just in there, lighting up. So that's the Korg Volca keys. I mean, running like this as it does, I feel like it wants to, in sort of random, gnarly, grainy, abstract mode. I think it's where it likes to be. Check that out. Thank you for watching. That was the Korg Volca keys, the synth of the month. There we go.
What a lot of synth and what a tidy little bundle. I love the design of it. It looks like something out of Metropolis, like 20s futuristic. But watching that has reminded me and so many people in the chat how much fun this thing is to play with.
Yeah.
It's just great. A man with beard said this sounds and acts great for what you can get them for now. I mean, how much do they now?
Oh, I have no idea.
It was only £120 when it came out, I think.
And there's so many of them around. You could probably pick one up for like 20 quid, half, second hand. I don't know. Maybe 20 quid might be a bit exaggerated, but
yeah.
No, it's the thing about something that just ends up being a lot of fun. I mean, I hadn't actually played it for a very long time. I just immediately got it out and it all just, oh yeah, I remember this. Hey, this is pretty good. And, it's got some chunk to it.
Yeah, Wagyu pointed out that Tatsuya Takahashi has said that the delay is implemented in the CPU, not using a dedicated chip.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, must give it that special sound. Spaces and Noise said Luke Haynes has used this as his synth of choice on British Nuclear Bunkers, the album, which I haven't actually heard, but we're Luke Haynes fans, so we need to check that out.
Well, when we played in the not Whitstable, not near Broadstairs, what's it called? The other Ramsgate Music Hall. We supported Cavern of Antimatter, and after we finished playing, Tim Gain and the other guys from Cavern of Antimatter came up and went, "Wow, what was that? What's this?" And I just went, "There you go, there's two of those," and they were going, "Oh, these are great."
It's a perennial part of our live setup, isn't it? It's always good for sort of between track.
We haven't used it for a long time, but it's nice for the little bits and bobs of stuff. Yeah, I love. Yeah, as I said, I really like the way it can sound like sort of early experimental music if you let it. And yeah, it was nice. Tim Gain going, "This is good," and they've got two MS-20s with the two different filter types up there, and they were amazing. That was an amazing night.
They sounded
great. Don't know if anyone was there, but that was such a good show. Yeah.
And Analog Mechanic mentioned has 6 Volca modulars, and Analog Mechanic played
6
at the Whitstable night with us. It was fantastic.
You've got 6.
6.
You only did you have 2 of them out that night? I can't remember. I think did you have 2?
There were 2 Micro Freaks.
2 Micro Freaks. Was it just one? Yeah.
Sounded amazing. It had this wonderful swooping harmonics. It really blissed me out actually just before we went on. I mean, it was it was beautiful.
Yeah, really great. Actually, all the shows, all the acts were great that night. It was such a good night.
Wagyu is still a Volca virgin. I don't believe it, Wagyu. It's time.
Don't use the word virgin when using Volcas. It's not good.
Going back to the studio stuff, Pascal Aubry said, "Can you measure the impulse response of a room and deconvolve?" And that is kind of how it works, isn't it? You do measure the impulse response of the room when you're setting it up for acoustic treatment.
But when you start messing with the signal coming out of the monitors to adjust for the room, you can do that. But it does depend on where you are, and there's lots of it's a science. It just becomes difficult. I mean, I'm sure you can fix it. You can fix headphones. I mean, there's I can't remember the company that does it, flattens out your headphones for you. I've forgotten who they are, but you know who I'm talking about. But it can be done more easily with headphones, I think. I'm pretty sure that it can be sort of done with a room, but be warned. I guess I've been told. I'm just remembered, did I mention the time I met Tatsuya Takahashi?
Go on.
It's embarrassing.
In Germany.
Well,
Tatsuya Takahashi is the major innovator at Korg from the last sort of decade or two.
He's left now. He's now in Korg, the other Korg Berlin. So he's making the electroacoustic instruments, the little things with metal bits on them.
The Volcas were kind of part of his
reign. He was loads of really inexpensive, brilliant analog stuff. And
hackable as well.
We love the guy, and sadly for us, we were in. Not sadly for us, we were at Tresor in Berlin and having a night. I think Cuckoo was playing, and we were all like, a few drinks had been had, and I stumbled out of Tresor with Gaz
Williams,
and we saw Tatsuya Takahashi and went, "Oh my God, it's Tats!"
Yeah, we both.
We sort of, the two of us, I mean, what Gaz is like, coming towards you in a darkened street, it's quite, it's a thing. And we went towards it. Tato, you're amazing. And he visibly recoiled and just, it was like, and backed away.
I don't think you knew what you were going to do to him.
I think we almost immediately realised the error of our ways and just went, go back off, back off. But that
only wanted to worship him.
That was a funny old night.
It was great. Oh, speaking of synthesizer trade shows and festivals, A Division asked if we're going to Synth Fest. It's on the 5th of October.
Hey, is that Sheffield?
No, yeah, I think it's in Sheffield. I do have the tab here. Synth Fest. The Octagon, Sheffield. Yeah. I don't know. We haven't actually planned anything
Do you know, we've never been to Synth Fest. It does look great. I'm not sure.
We'll get back to you.
We'll have to see how the year pans out. It's getting pretty busy.
Yeah, we're trying to fill it chock full with gigs, and now we're starting to think of recording things.
Yeah, we're starting to get on the old recording bandwagon. Started making some voice notes. Yes. Nothing as good as Dad Bod, sadly.
The Dad Bod.
Not yet.
That was a great note. Yes, Wagyu was saying that KV5 studio looks so tidy. Mine looks more like Doc Emmett Brown's house. As looked like that before the show, didn't it? You have to tidy it up.
Yeah. God, this room's amazing now.
Did well.
It's so clean.
Pascal has his Eurostar tickets in to get to the Brighton show. Exciting, Pascal, all the way from France. Can't wait to see you there.
Yeah.
And Andrew Brooks pointed out as well with the Off the Tracks Festival in Derbyshire, Andy and Grace and James Glue are going to be on the same stage as us on the same day, and it's going to be just such a brilliant night. So if you're in the area and you feel like coming along,
good news in we're on first. I think we're on at 6:30, so we get
can
to
then enjoy the rest.
Kick back and relax.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
We've also got Andrew Kubachevsky coming over from LA and Evan coming over from New York to see the show in Brighton, which is wonderful. Guys. So they're on their way. So we got an international audience. Well, it'd be great we should all get together and have an international chat.
Andrew Brooks has just asked if we're going to Bristronica, but
do you want that?
I can't actually find the link. When's it on, Andrew? I really, really want to go to Bristronica.
I think it's soon.
September.
Oh, is it September? Yeah.
Oh no, that's from 2023. We'll find out when it's on because it looked very like the vibe at Super Booth, sort of a vaguely festival, relaxed, enjoy yourself, listen to music, listen to talks. It'd be great to check that out. And we need to get up there anyway, see some friends in the area.
Yeah, totally.
So, yes, I will check when that's on.
Our friends in the north.
Yeah. But, yes, we that's kind of all the comments.
Are we done? That's all the chats. Well, thank you very much for joining us tonight. We've overrun slightly. Yeah. Ever so sorry.
Thank you all for being here. It means a lot to see you all live in the chat. And if you want some of the bonus stuff that we do and, stems, extra messages, EPs, stories behind the songs, cocktail recipes, etc., become a booster for as little as $3 a month. It really helps us do this show. So, get in there. Or just go to our website and sign up for the mailing list so you can find out when we're going to be playing and where, and come and say hi to us in person. We'd love to see you.
Well, hello. There's a London to be confirmed. How exciting.
Yes.
Up in that London.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? Something. Can't remember. Doesn't matter.
Bristronica's on the 12th of October.
Okay.
Brilliant.
Bristol isn't the north.
Did I say the north? I'm sorry. I used to live in Bristol, so I do know that it's not in the north.
I think technically it's slightly further north than where we are at the moment.
Yes.
So,
but when you say up north, that kind of means up north, doesn't it?
Well,
specific.
Sheffield.
Yeah.
Sheffield. I mean, it's not. Yeah, Sheffield.
I'm just using shorthand.
Sheffield counts as the north. Yeah, I mean, born in Glasgow, so everywhere's the south to me.
Pascal's in the Netherlands, not France.
Oh.
Wow. Awesome.
Thanks.
Can't wait, guys.
It's going to be great to see you. Yeah, if you can make it, do. And if you can subscribe, please do. It's worth it. There's 11 EPs. There's a new one just out. It's not rubbish. It's just tracks that we never quite finished, but we
Or
still
it's
like.
stuff that maybe didn't fit on albums. It wasn't quite right. In fact, there's an album of tracks that nearly made compulsory games, but didn't quite. Sort of deleted scenes, if you will.
Yeah.
So.
And if you do feel like having a go at the stems, if you have subscribed, you've got access to like countless stems now. We've just about filled up our Google Drive.
Yeah, we'll have to find a new way
I may
of
have
storing
a flushing moment.
But if there's anything that you'd like stems for that aren't on there, let us know.
Should we go to that?
Once you've made a remix, please do share it on our Discord, which is bit.ly/BOOdiscord. And we have a little remixes thread there where people can share stuff. We love hearing what you've done. It's always very exciting.
Once again, perennially I say this, weekly, monthly I say this. I think it might be time to put something out with all your work on it, if that's okay with you. But we'll talk about that at some stage. And the next one, which is in September. September?
Pardon me?
September.
Yes, September.
This is August, right? So September, because the year's going, isn't it?
Whoa.
How exciting! So let's all have a nice summery time.
Yeah.
We'll see you at the festival if you're going, and looking forward to hanging out with James Glue and Andy and Grace and everyone that's going to be there. I think that's it. That's the show.
That's it. Yeah.
So
thanks for being here, everybody.
We're ending with a little clip of our live show we did at Whitstable.
We also have a video that we edited together on our YouTube channel, but this is the original live performance.
This is the one. This is why we ended up having to release it. And
yes.
What was I going to say? Do go and subscribe to the Whitstable Sems YouTube
support
channel.
them, because what they're putting on is amazing, and it's that kind of event we need more of, so we can all get together and share our brilliant stuff.
Yeah, it really was special. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's been a long one and a big one. And we'll see you on the next one, and have a very, very peaceful and beautiful summer.
Yes.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Kitchenware and food going up. First floor, telephones, gents' ready-made suits, shirts, socks, ties, hats, underwear and shoes going up. Second floor, carpets, travel goods and bedding, materials, soft furnishings, restaurant and teas going down. Service economy, I'm just making money, not your accessory. I rule like Ptolemy. Service economy, I'm just making money, not your accessory. I rule like Ptolemy. You don't know me just because I served you what you wanted. You don't know me just because you're rich and you can flaunt it. I may be faceless to you as you lack imagination. My creativity is beyond your articulation. Give you service with a smile, I will go the extra mile. But when you treat me like your slave, I will teach you to behave. When you treat me like your slave, I will teach you to behave. Service economy, I'm just making money, not your accessory. I rule like Ptolemy. Service economy, I'm just making money, not your accessory. I rule like Ptolemy. Faceless to you as you lack imagination, but my creativity is beyond your articulation. Give you service with a smile, but when you treat me like your slave, I will teach you to behave. I'm just making money, not your accessory. I rule like Ptolemy, service economy. I'm just making money, not your accessory. I rule like Ptolemy. I'm just making money, not your accessory. Service with a smile, I will go the extra mile. But when you treat me like a slave, I will teach you to behave. Service economy, I'm just making money, not your accessory. I rule like Ptolemy. Service economy, I'm just making money, not your accessory. Rule like Ptolemy. Service economy, I'm just making money, not your accessory. I rule like Ptolemy. Service economy, just making money, not your accessory. I rule like Ptolemy. For all of you who've had those jobs.
We love you.